audio on mute until they're ready to talk, just to reduce the background noise. So those are the preliminaries. Just want to get them across to everyone. And now that we've gotten through that, I'm so grateful to have so many of you here today. And among the people here are Russ Long. Russ is from our class of 1971. Russ is the chairman of ENC's Board of Trustees and a member of the ENC Society. Russ, I want to turn it over to you, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, David. I apologize. There seems to be a glare on my screen. Not sure what that's from. I was selected or honored at my previous congregation and last congregation to be elected a pastor emeritus, and there may be a glow about me because of that. I don't really know, but
I was thinking it was a halo.
Somebody thought I had been canonized. They've been out of a Catholic background, but it was nothing like that. So it's great to see you. The first word that came to mind when I began to see your faces was story, because, oh my goodness, I've known many of you for so many years. Wondered if I'd ever get to that 50th, reunion. I'm getting there, but grateful for you to tune in today on this beautiful New England day. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. Self-serve, self-prepare. And thank you for being such an important part of the ENC family and story, and for your faithfulness over the years in supporting the college. Let me just say a prayer on your behalf. Well, Father, my heart is warm today as I look at the faces on my computer. And if I could give everyone a hug this morning, it would go out to each, a virtual hug, to just say, it's great to see you again. We know that homecomings are really a foretaste of a final homecoming that we all hope to attend someday. And this occasion reminds me that we're further along on the journey than we were at this time last year. I thank you for what this group represents to the ENC story and even to my own life. The modeling that has taken place because of the faithfulness of this group, the giving that has allowed people like me and my daughters and hopefully my granddaughters to be able to attend a Christian college. And we're so grateful that they represent the best of what ENC has been over the years. Wonderful stories of servant leaders, and we're anxious to hear about those stories today. So I pray that you would bless us as we listen and share together. And already I feel a great sense of gratitude for what we're going to hear. I pray this in Jesus' name, amen.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jack Connell, privileged to serve as president of ENC now for about the last year and a half. Started on April Fool's Day last year, which no one will ever let me forget. But it's a delight to be with all of you for these few moments. I want to apologize right out of the gate for the fact that I can't stay for the entire program. I would love to do that. You are such an important part of the college. In fact, of all of the Zoom groups that I'm meeting with today, don't tell anybody else, but you are the most important ones. But somewhere in a parallel universe right now, the silver reunion class, the class of, what would that be, 1995, I think, is waiting for me. But so I will need to make a little bit of an early exit, but I apologize. Would love to stay with you for the whole time. The first thing I'm going to do when I go talk to them is ask them why they're not in this room as members of the ENC Society. But I want to acknowledge Russ Long, our board chair. We all do see that glow. I think it's the glow that actually comes from being the chair of the board. it's a glow of stress and exhaustion, though, I think. But Russ, thank you for your leadership of the college in these really challenging days. I also want to thank David Bergers and welcome him back to ENC. It's been a joy to work with him in these last few months. Or a few weeks, really. He is a gift to me and to the entire college and knows absolutely everybody, which is such a help to me who knows nobody. In fact, I think David is related to everybody. David, have I yet mentioned an alumnus to you that you haven't said, oh yeah, that's my brother-in-law's cousin? And so the family tree doesn't fork much around the Bergers family apparently, or I guess it forks a lot, it goes everywhere. But David, thank you for your leadership of this event and for the service that you are already giving to the college. It's been sort of a quiet first year for me at ENC, rather uneventful. I took some extra vacation time this summer because there wasn't quite enough to do. When I now have the opportunity once in a while to connect with other college presidents. And when I do, even those who have been serving for many, many years, they always say something like, this year has just been the hardest year ever to be a college president, which I always take as just as really good news, because that means it's going to be a breeze for me from here on out. But in spite of all of the challenges of this last year, these last few months in particular, which you all know well about, God has been very faithful to ENC, and I come to you today with a lot of gratitude for his guidance and provision for us over these last few months, which you are a big part of. As I hope you know by now, we were able to reopen the campus. There were plenty of days this summer when I didn't think we would be able to do that. Our enrollment for the fall is down a little bit, but not down nearly as much as we thought it might be, and so that's wonderful news. About 2/3 of our students are studying on campus and dealing with face masks and social distancing and no gatherings, no athletic events, no homecoming dance this weekend. Sorry, some of you perhaps don't know that we do homecoming dances, but I think we do that now, but not this year. But our students on campus have been so wonderful and gracious and cooperative with all of that. The other third are studying from home. I see Julia Cuthbert on the call. I think she's one of those studying from home this semester. Our health services staff has been working so diligently. We're testing our students every week. The number of COVID positives has been very, very low, just 3 all semester long. So we are very grateful and hopeful for a return to some degree of normalcy in the not too distant future. I'll say a little bit more about this tonight if you're in the gathering this evening, but this is where I'm coming to you now, the financial challenges associated with COVID, if you add up all the lost revenues and all the additional expenses around testing and cleaning and technology and many other things, the total financial hit to the college over these last fiscal year and this fiscal year is going to be somewhere in the range of $5 million. And you know that ENC is not a wealthy school. And frankly, your generous support, the support of the people in this Zoom room right now, and the support of many other alumni and friends has been and continues to be absolutely indispensable to us. I really do not know how we would be able to prevail through this season of storm in which we find ourselves without your very generous support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The members of the ENC Society are so important to us, in fact, and David is tired of hearing me talk about this.
Not at all.
The key priorities that we really need to do in the future of the college, I think, as we head into the future, is we need to dramatically increase the size of this group. I look forward to I can imagine a banquet hall at a big hotel with about 500 people in it, every one of whom is a member of the ENC Society, giving at least $1,000 a year to the college. And when that day comes, and we're going to work very hard toward that day will be a significant enhancement to our ability to continue to serve our students with the kind of excellence that they expect and that you all received in your experience at ENC. So you're going to be hearing more about that in the days to come. You're already members. You'll still get some communication about it, though. We're going to try to find a very prominent way on campus, a permanent way and prominent way on campus to honor those of you who are members of the ENC Society. If you know people who really should be on this call right now and aren't, we're going to invite you to reach out to them, because the people who give at this level to the college, these people who give $1,000 a year, $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year, this group of people right here, you are absolutely the backbone of the financial support that comes into the college, comes into ENC every year. And so we are so grateful. It's my honor as president to be able to thank you on behalf of every constituent group, our board members, our faculty, our staff, our other alumni, most of all, though, our students, for whom really we all, those of us who work at the college, we serve them. Those of you who give to college, they're the ones really. Thank you. Trust that your giving will continue, and that God will bless you in it. So enjoy the gathering. Again, my apologies. I need to jump in about 5 minutes, but it's a pleasure to be with you, and look forward to a time pretty soon when we can invite you back to campus and have a meal together. And then what do you say in a few years, we get together in a really big banquet hall at a fancy hotel. I'll pay for lunch. Well, that means the college will pay for lunch, and we'll celebrate together God's ongoing faithfulness to ENC. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack. Really appreciate you being here. And I got to tell you, I need to say to everyone here, I've been so impressed with every word that's come out of President Connell's mouth. He's a true man of faith, and I feel like God guided the board so clearly in bringing Jack here, and I just have to say that I'm so grateful to be working with you, and I think we're all just grateful for you to be here leading ENC. Even if you didn't go to ENC, we still.
Well, I think last year at homecoming, we took a vote somewhere that I could be an honorary alumnus. So
I'd like it.
Thank you, David. Your job is secure, so you didn't need to say that. I appreciate the kind words, and I'm just honored to be here serving. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, listen, it is great to be here with you all. And Jack is right. I am finding new relatives as we go along. I sent the first email out saying hello, and I got an email back from someone who said, well, if you're Jay Berger's son, then I think we're second cousins. And that turned out to be Eunice Wilhelm, who's 95 years old in Portland, Oregon. We had a great talk. And then she said, and I think you're probably related to Branson Roberts. And I just asked Branson earlier today. He said, yeah, I think we're second cousins. And so the Grosses and the Albrights and the Bergers and the Wilhelms, you know, it's funny to find connections. And I'm just grateful for my family and my grandfather and grandmother and everyone that started coming here, because it's been a wonderful thing for me in my life, ENC. So the big event that we have here is really a wonderful event. And the biggest reason is just to say thank you. We're just so grateful to the people that are on this Zoom. We're thankful for your prayers and for your students and for your financial support. You know, often many of you are the first to respond when we have a need. But what we'd like to do is just tell you some stories today. And we've asked some of our students, some of our current students, some of our alumni just to talk to you about ENC and the impact that ENC has had on their lives. We're actually trying this year to do a little bit of a different type of communication approach, which is focused on stories. You know, we want to tell the stories of our alumni and our students. And we've got a new hashtag. It's called #MyENCStory. And so we thought, what better way to celebrate and focus on ENC's impact than to bring some stories to you. You may recognize we've got 3 students that we'd like to, whose stories we want to share with you. And you may recognize the first because we just sent out a note yesterday where Andres Medina from the class of 2023 told a little bit about his story. But Andres is here with us today. He's a sophomore, crime, law, and justice major on a pre-law track. He's also a member of the men's basketball team, and he's originally from Venezuela, but his hometown is now in Wesley Chapel, Florida, not far from my dad. Andres, why don't you share your story?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, David. And I just want to say how much of an honor it is to be here in front of all of you in a spot that I hope to be in one day, and just say thank you for so much of your generosity. And just to correct one thing that David said, I'm actually part of the men's baseball team, so I just want to make sure that's clear right there.
I know I had baseball team here, and I read basketball. Sorry about that.
Totally fine. America's pastime. That's all I'm going to say. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to share my story. I just want to start off with, like, I'm a product of two immigrants that have come to the United States. They're from Venezuela. I grew up in Wesley Chapel, Florida. I feel like this is where my ENC story really began. I went to a high school of about 3,000 students, and in the big state of Florida, we have a lot of colleges that are more than 20 students, and so they expect you to stay the number and to just go get your degree, do your best as you can, and leave, and then as if you got something out of it. And from the moment I went to high school, I thought to myself, I didn't want to do that. I wanted more. I wanted to see if I could have the better experience, see if I can get more out of my college years. So after I received a letter from ENC asking me to come visit, after I applied and I was accepted, I decided, like, let's go visit. It's in Boston. Might as well have this new idea. And I felt an immediate connection as soon as I arrived on campus. I've seen students say hi even when I showed up in the middle of a semester. I've seen students say hi to me, even thinking that I was already a new student. Right there, I knew I could make friends here like nothing. And I attended one of their chapel sessions and actually was able to be a part of a baseball practice. And I just felt an immediate connection towards the students, towards the faculty, the teachers. And it's been an experience like no other. So I set a really high expectation for myself when I decided to come to ENC. And I can tell you right now that all of those expectations have been completely shattered because they have treated me so well here through the financial aid, through my faith journey, and through my academics. I am so grateful for everything that ENC has done for me. I was speaking with my advisor last year, and I spoke with her about the possibility of having graduate education. And I told her it's never even crossed my mind. Like, I just wanted to go to college, get my degree, and then just kind of do my work and do how society would do for me. And she said, yeah, but I see more for you. Why don't you consider law school? You're a criminal justice major. Why not? And I told her, and her name is Professor Vicky Scow. She's an incredible advisor and professor to me. And I told her, maybe. And she's like, you can do this. Like, why not? Why not go for it? And so I was like, let's do it. And so I've set a goal for myself, and I can see myself doing it in a way that I've never seen myself completing my goals before. And I'm so incredibly grateful and going for that process. And in my faith journey, this school has allowed me to go at my own pace. I can say in one word that it's been patience and for going towards my faith journey. And I can say that I'm relatively new and I'm still learning, but it's just been such a privilege to be next to my classmates worshiping when it comes to even if we have masks on, I still feel an intimate experience in chapel. And I'm just so grateful that I can be here. I was able to be here last year, and I can still be here today.
Andres, thanks so much. It's so great to hear your story. You're in a Zoom session with a lot of people who have given, often sacrificially, and what that's enabled us to do is to offer scholarships and grants to students coming in. Tell us about the impact that that's had on you and your family.
It's been amazing. I need to say I'm eternally grateful because my parents are very hard workers. They've shown me from the very beginning that if you want to get something, you need to work really, really hard for it. We have been delivering bouncy houses to get by since the moment I was born. And so as soon as they realized I was strong enough to lift a blower, let's go deliver it for us, and you can earn your allowance. And so I said, let's do it. And so when I received my first financial award package, like I've never seen my mom cry more of happiness in my entire life. And it made me feel so proud and so accomplished. And I felt like this is the place I needed to be, and that this was such a great place of generosity and faith that I just said, like, this is a place where where God has shown me that I have to like plan for, and if I'm gonna do it, I have to give it my all. So that's why when I read these letters continuously again, I say like, this is why I do it. And I'm gonna keep going.
Thanks. That's just wonderful to hear. And there's a lot of people in this Zoom room that will be praying for you and for God's will in your life. So thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce you all to Julia Cuthbert. Julia is from the class of 2022, and she's a junior youth ministry major, originally from Charlottesville, Virginia. Julia, tell us your My ENC story.
Well, hi, everyone. It's so nice to see all of you. Like Andre said, I also look forward to hopefully being in your shoes one day. My ENC story is that I had my entire college career path planned out since my freshman year of high school, and it didn't include going to ENC. But after meeting and talking with a crew team the summer of 2018, I realized ENC was actually the place that I needed to be. I fully believe that God brought those students into my life, called me to come to ENC. And so sure enough, I dropped all my plans. I changed my registration. I applied to ENC a month before the term started. And now I'm here and I've loved every second of it. On move-in day, which was actually the first time I ever set foot on the campus. Unlike Andres, I never toured or anything. I just showed up the day of. I instantly knew that ENC was the place God had called me to be for the next 4 years. And it was honestly up to me to figure out what that reason was. So since then, I've done everything that I can to get involved, from retreat weekends to sharing my testimony at student-led worship nights, getting involved with student government. I'm currently the executive director of spiritual life for the Student Government Association. Being a tutor as well. I think every day, every year that I spend at ENC, I realize more and more what God wanted me to truly learn at ENC. And I think it's truly shaping me into the minister that he's also called me to be in the future.
It's wonderful to hear. I think that you've talked about a number of different things that ENC that have meant much to you. Tell me about the impact for you in coming to ENC and the grants and scholarships, and whether that made it easier for you to attend.
Yeah, those had a huge impact. My original plan was actually going to community college and transferring. So my parents flat out, when I told them I wanted to go to ENC, obviously they were supportive, but they pretty much said if we couldn't get costs or tuition fees below a certain amount, I wouldn't be able to go. I prayed for that constantly in the month leading up to it. And then the day that I received my financial aid award letter, I checked the verse of the day on the Bible app. I get a notification for it. And the verse of the day actually happened to be Matthew 21:22. I'll never forget it. It's, if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. And sure enough, the amount happened to be, I think, like $100 cheaper than the limit my parents had said. And since then, every year, I've prayed consistently that I'll be able to return, that, I'll still get financial aid. And every year I swear the cost gets lower and lower with more and more scholarships that I'm able to receive. And I fully believe that it's through the work of people like you guys and through the grace of God that I'm able to continue coming to ENC every year.
It's wonderful to hear. Just as a youth ministry major, I'd love it if you could just give me a few words on the impact of ENC on your faith journey, Julia.
Well, I love the religion department. Honestly, I think the professors are some of the greatest people I've ever met. They've had such a huge impact on my life. I'm like genuinely friends with them outside of our classes. Every year, we do the retreat. Although we weren't able to do it this year, but the religion department's working on other things we can do. Every year I've taken something away from that retreat that's helped me grow. And then, like I said, I've been involved in a number of different things, from Refiner's Fire to Kingdom Experience, which I'm currently running as Director of Spiritual Life. And I was a student chaplain last year for the Office of Spiritual Development. And I think each role that I've been a part of, I've been able to learn more. And then in my classes, they've also helped on top of that. And so I've just been able to grow not only like as a person, but also in my spiritual life as a whole. And I look forward to continuing that growth even after I graduate.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Julia. We really appreciate it. And you'll be in our prayers going forward. Thank you so much. What I'd like to do is introduce our third student who is with us, Chris Jaskiewicz, from the class of 2023. Chris is a sophomore majoring in chemistry, and he is also on the men's volleyball team, originally from Montville, Connecticut. So Chris, would you share your story with us?
Absolutely, I'd be honored to. So my story starts, I guess I have to go all the way back, right? My story starts I started in a small town of Montville, Connecticut, southeastern corner, about hour and 52 minutes, depending on the traffic on 93 and 95, away from ENC's campus. And what actually brought me to ENC was volleyball and some divine intervention, I will admit. So coming from a family of 5, I was the youngest of 3 siblings. I had 2 older sisters who both participated in volleyball throughout middle school, high school, and playing club during the off season. And being the baby, I was dragged to every practice, club event, game, Saturday night practice, Sunday morning games, all of it. And over time, I developed a love for the game. And I actually started to play it myself. In high school, my high school didn't have a team, but I opted to go drive an hour each way, twice a week, to play club volleyball. And actually through that, during one of my club tournaments, I saw a slender, tall, lanky man named Logan Huntsberger wearing an ENC quarter zip, and saw him talking to a couple of my teammates, and just was like, you know what, I'm going to go introduce myself. And so without hesitation, I walked over, said, hey, how you doing? I'm Chris. He gave me this huge smile, like, hey, Chris, how you doing? I saw you play. Great job. I was like, thanks so much. He then kind of invited me to join a couple of my teammates to come tour ENC's campus. And through that, I stepped on campus, and I met with the volleyball coach, and just went, you know what? I can really see myself grow here. At ENC, I could see myself flourish. And in my opinion, unequivocally, I believe that is the most important characteristic that any college can have, is just to allow a student to come grow and become the best version of themselves they can become. And so from that instance, I kind of decided right there that ENC was the place for me. And gosh, I am thankful for it every day that I'm a student at ENC's. It's been absolutely amazing.
That's great to hear, Chris. How about your faith journey at ENC? What impact has being at ENC had on your faith journey?
Oh, my faith journey it started rocky. So when I was younger, like I said, in the family of 5, we would attend a Roman Catholic church. And being, anywhere from 6 years old all the way up to when I was 12, we would go every Sunday. All 5 of us would cram into a pew, and we'd be there for the wrong reasons. I will admit, my family admits it to this day. We were there for the wrong reasons. We did it because that's what you were supposed to do. That's what looked good. So it kind of painted religion and spirituality in a negative light for me. But then coming to ENC's campus and attending, I remember my freshman year, attending the first semester of chapels during the week. There wouldn't be a single day that I wouldn't leave with a tear in my eye, just because I was coming back to light and mending a relationship with God that was broken. And to be able to really mend that and find my own connection or my own spiritual journey at ENC was just absolutely unexplainable.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear. Appreciate that. Appreciate all three of you, Andres and Julia and Chris. Thanks for coming with us and sharing with us. It means a lot to us, and we're just thrilled to see the impact that ENC is having on your life. And we will keep all of you in our prayers going forward. So thank you very much. I'd like to transition to talking to some of our alumni who have been in your shoes, Chris and Julia and Andres, and now have gone on to do many other things. We want to tell some of their stories. And so let me just introduce our three alumni that we'd like to highlight, although there's many, many others that we'd love to as well. Many of them, the three of them really need no introduction, but let me start with Reverend Stafford Frederick from the class of 1976. Stafford served as senior pastor at Summerdene Church of the Brethren near Roanoke, Virginia, until he just recently retired. Stafford was born in Trinidad and came to the U.S. in 1973, and he completed degrees at Eastern Nazarene College and NTS, Nazarene Theological Seminary. Stafford has been so helpful to our office in the past and helped us on campaigns, usually the first to respond, and he lives now in North Carolina, just a few miles from his grandchildren. Welcome, Stafford. We also have with us Laura Nase. Laura is from the class of 2008. She's an adjunct professor for Husson University and a full-time mom to Ruby and Robbie. She also has served on the executive committee for the Board of Trustees at ENC with us at this time. And a fun and unknown fact for some of you may be that Laura was integral in creating the ENC Society more than 10 years ago when she worked in institutional advancement for the college. She's still helping us out when she can in her spare time, which doesn't come around a lot, but as a development ambassador. So welcome to Laura. And finally, but not last, but not least, Reverend Dr. Dick Pritchard. Dick is from the class of 1967. Dick is professor emeritus at Azusa Pacific University, where he spent 14 years as chair of the Department of Practical Theology. Dick has 50 years of ministry leadership experience, and his level of service to ENC and his commitment to ENC's admissions efforts throughout the years is unparalleled. In fact, Dick is the one that I think gets the credit for recruiting me. When I was the age of 8, he asked me to fill out a card and put my name and address on it, and I thought that was me committing to ENC. So after that, I really couldn't apply anywhere else, and I didn't. So thanks, Dick, for getting me to come to ENC. So all three of you, just appreciate you joining us today. And I just have a few questions that I'd really like to ask you. We've heard from some students, some great stories. And I'd like to know, maybe start with Stafford. Tell me, how does hearing from the students take you back to your ENC story? Can you just tell me a little bit about your ENC experience?
Well, for sure. When hearing the students share what they have gone through and it reminds me of God's grace and God's goodness in the way he has provided and still provides in the lives of persons who are committed to him, persons who are on a track to be and to serve the rest of society. And so that's what it reminds me of.
That's great. And tell me a little bit, when you came, what did ENC mean to you? How did it affect you and your life as you went to ENC?
Well, ENC was just another, my story goes back to Trinidad, obviously, and missionaries who served on the island. I had been to the Bible school in Trinidad, and the Biggs family, George and Marjorie Biggs, who live in Oklahoma at the time and still lives there today, following their terms of service. They were the ones who pointed me to ENC. George Biggs, they had one of their children was about ready to come back to the States to college. And of course, all the colleges would send them packages, and they got a package that said that ENC has soccer. And immediately George Biggs, his thoughts came to me because he knew I played a lot of soccer. And I went to visit the campus one day after I had graduated. And he said, Stafford, how would you like to go to school at ENC? And I said, Ian who? He said, ENC. Said, that's Eastern Nazarene College in Boston. And so anyway, long story short, he began to work on that. And, again, I arrived here in Boston from a tropical island. I arrived here in the fall, all tropical clothing, and you know how that's like for somebody coming from the tropics. just a shock as I stepped off the plane in Boston.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'm sure that did hit you hard. I sometimes wonder myself whether it's time to be down in warmer climates, but ENC is here, and so we're here, and appreciate you sharing. Laura, tell me a little bit about your ENC story and how hearing from the students brings you back to your time at ENC.
Sure, I'd love to. After each student shared their story, I got goosebumps every single time, and I attribute that because I related with every single story. And isn't that the beauty of ENC, is that it's such a family environment that you can have so many different experiences. And from tearful chapel services, I have such amazing memories of just strong spiritual connections with the Lord and those who are worshiping around me in chapel experience, to really great conversations with my professors. I'm a professor right now, and I'm doing it all online, and I don't get that same one-on-one experience that I had at ENC. And the professors at ENC, they care. And you think they could just mail it in and do their lectures and not care, but they invest in every single student. And because of that investment, students get such a enriched experience. And so each of the student testimonies just touched me, because it just brought me back. And I just loved my experience at ENC, and it set me up for a great career, a great spiritual foundation. And I can't get away. I just love coming back. I love investing in the college because I know that I am supporting students have that same experience.
That's great. And really good to hear. And I think many of us, this resonates with many of us as we hear you talk and the students talk. All of us, some of us from different decades and different generations. Dick, can you tell me a little bit about the impact ENC has had on your life? I mean, you have been part of ENC in so many different ways. And so not just as a graduate and alum, but as a significant member of the administration. But I'd just love to hear from you what ENC means to you and how you think it's changed and affected your life.
David, hi to everybody. Yeah, ENC changed everything for me. I started as a 17-year-old freshman who was intent on being an orthodontist. And I loved chemistry and calculus, and took that my first semester, except by the end of first semester, my appetite for that was changing. And Dr. Phillips, my physics professor advisor, said, "Oh, you're just a freshman, you need to stay with it." But by the end of the first year, I knew that's not what I was supposed to do. And so I was migrating. Honestly, I grew up in the church, but I don't think I was really personally, spiritually grounded in a way. So I was making decisions not out of faith, but out of figuring out what was the best option for me. And so part of ENC was huge in terms of beginning that lifelong spiritual journey of faith, getting some grounding and moving ahead with that, but then shaping everything in terms of where we go from there and what.
Just lost Dick for a moment. I think he'll probably come back to us. Appreciate that. Just as Dick is coming back on, I did have a question for Laura, which is maybe, Laura, can you talk a little bit about, a little more than 10 years ago when you did help?
What I would do from that. And just got, even though I, David, can you hear me?
We just lost you for a moment.
Yeah, it says my internet connection has been unstable this morning, so I was hoping to make it through. So I just say that, the faith journey was the beginning of all the decisions and everything that shaped everything from there.
Thanks, Dick. You've had such an impact on so many lives, not just mine, but so many lives, and including a lot of the lives that are here today. So really thank you for your service and your ministry. And I was just speaking with Dick a couple weeks ago about, what is it that we can do to serve even more at ENC? What are the things that we can do, both serving our alumni, because, it's because of our alumni, it's because of you that we exist, that we're here. Yes, first because of God, but second because of people who've been faithful to God and his guidance. So I think you've been such an outstanding example of what it means to serve. So I want to thank you for that. Laura, you played a role in the creation of the ENC Society. I would just really love to hear your thoughts. What about your vision then, and how you see the ENC Society going forward?
Yeah, well, I was 22, believe it or not, when I that was my first job out of college. And I'm so grateful to ENC to take a chance on me, because it sparked a interest and a love for development. And I, at 22, I don't think I really understood the impact of the ENC Society. But, 12 years later, I see the faithfulness of those that were charter members in the ENC Society. And I'm looking at many of your names, and I remember your names because you were the ones that led the way and said, yes, I want to be a loyal supporter to the college. And I want it to be known that ENC can count on me for faithful giving. And that has made such an amazing difference in the life of the college and the life of the students. And I don't think the vision has changed in these past 12 years. And I think if anything, it's become stronger. It was an opportunity for people to show their loyalty, but it also an opportunity for the administration, the president, to have an inner circle, so to speak, of people that they can count on most. And I think that's still true today. I think if you're not in this society and you consider yourself a supporter of the college, I really challenge you to consider. It's under $84 a month. If you spend $5 every day a month on coffee, you're already there. So I just think it's such it's really a light sacrifice, I think, to show loyalty and support of the college. And so I'm happy to give. I'm happy to still be a part of it, and I'm grateful that I'm still part of ENC story this many years later.
That's awesome. Thank you. Stafford, tell me, we talked a little bit about how you got to ENC, but maybe just tell us a little bit about your journey since. We understand you just recently retired, and so you've had quite a long and illustrious career. I'd love to hear a little bit about that journey and how ENC influenced it. And we'll have you come off of mute there.
I had a note for myself here, didn't do it. Following graduation in the fall of 1976, I got a call from Olivet Nazarene University from Dr. Parrott. He was the president, Dr. Parrott was the president, Les Parrott was the president while I was a student here. And got a call from him, he wanted to start soccer at Olivet. So he flew me, he got me out there, and we started the soccer program, soccer team, and for that semester, and did that. And in the new year, flew back to Trinidad and taught for one semester at the Bible College, the Caribbean Nazarene College, which is located in the Santa Cruz Valley on the island of Trinidad. Taught there for a semester, got a call from Boston again. This time it was from the athletic director, Nancy Detweiler, Dr. Detweiler, and she wanted me to come coach the men's varsity soccer team. So late that summer, flew back up to Boston, began to coach the team for 3 seasons, and did fairly well. And then, of course, there was seminary in the making after coaching the team and doing a master's degree at ENC, and went out to Kansas City, lived in Olathe, Kansas while I was there, served as a resident director at Mid-American Nazarene University. My former coach and Coach Jim Smith was the athletic director at ENC, and he had me, since he was one of the deans out there, he employed me to work as a student, as a director of the housing section of the campus, one of the sections. Attended seminary during that time, and then following seminary, a small church in Olathe, Kansas, invited me to be their pastor. Well, they wanted an interim pastor, So this Church of the Brethren, small congregation, they invited me to be the interim pastor. I had spoken at their church once before. After a year, they said, hey, the congregation is happy with what you're doing. We want you to be our pastor. So I pastored there for 13 years. By the way, we were the only minorities in the congregation. In 2000, got a call from a district superintendent in Virginia. This church in Virginia wanted to invite us to come out to pastor. Said, yeah, we'll consider it. Flew out, met with the church, met with the congregation. The congregation was elated, called us to be their pastor. I had one negative vote there, district superintendent. Just one negative vote. We pastored there for 2000 to 2016, 16 years. Announced our retirement, and they were not pleased that we were retiring, obviously. They were extremely happy with what we were doing there in Roanoke, Virginia. And we moved out here to be close to our grandkids, grandboys. We have two grandsons. One's now 7 and the older one is 12. So that's the long way home. That's it.
That's great. It's great to hear your story, Stafford, and thank you for your service. I think it's just great to hear the stories of so many. I see so many stories just as I'm looking at all the pictures here of people on the screen. I remember surprising John and Janice Nielsen in the Philippines when I was on this trip around the world, and I called them up and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And they said, "Well, we're just here, serving as president of the seminary. Where are you going to stay?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know." And they said, "Oh, well, why don't you come stay with us?" And just it's that the ENC and our church, it's a family, and it's just so wonderful. So many people here have served. What I'd like to do, just in closing, ask Dick to tell us, why do you give? I mean, you've given so much, right? You've given of your life to ENC. So what compels you to give now?
David, I'm going to put this in front of the screen, but it's something that's dated September 8th, 1963. It's my original freshman semester bill from ENC. The tuition, full-time tuition, was $333 total.
Wow.
There were $21 in student fees and a general chemistry lab fee. My food for the entire semester was $165. That was probably right because the food wasn't that great, but and then my room was charged at $4.50 a week, $81 total. So the whole bill, $620.50 for that freshman year. The point is, my dad paid for that because he wanted to, because he never had a chance to go to college, and he paid for every other semester after that. In the next decade after that, he started a scholarship, a lot more money, obviously, in my name, so other students could benefit. What was being modeled from me, from somebody who had not even had a college education, was that you continue to find ways to invest in others and in the future. And that was modeled really clearly from him and from many other alums that I knew that were doing similar things. And for me, I think if you're going to give financially, it also means you give your whole self in some way, because you really want it to be the best experience possible. And then when you give your whole self, then you want to give financially. So it's a whole deal. And I just feel like the challenge of the Lord is, how do we give away what we have so that other people benefit and help people to move into the future? And I love the stories that we've heard today from the current students. And it says it's still happening, and want it to still happen, and really believe in where this needs to go for the future.
Wow.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Appreciate all these stories. We have 144 members of the ENC Society. And as those of you who are biblical scholars know, 144 is a very significant biblical number. But that doesn't mean we need to stop with 144. What I see that is 144 ambassadors to the rest of the world, saying, let's increase by sevenfold or some other biblical multiple. I'd be very open to any of those multiples. But I just want to say thank you. I wouldn't be here without the contributions that you all have made in the past, and our students today wouldn't be here without that. I just think we have a wonderful blessing in ENC and a blessing in the support that we have from you. So thank you to all of you very much. I'm really here to serve you. So if there's something that I can do, if you have an idea that would be helpful, and I don't mean just an idea about raising money. I mean, if you have an idea about how we can serve our alumni and our churches better, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk, and I just love to catch up on your story. So thank you to all of you. I'd like to ask Reverend Frederick if he would close us in prayer. Reverend Frederick, you want to take it off of?
Unmute. Yeah.
Okay.
Just before I pray, I just want to say this, and I have it written on here. I forgot to say it. When I came onto the campus of ENC back in '76, and winter began to descend upon us. Of course, I had never owned a winter coat. Dr. Babcock, who was the professor who dealt with all of the plants and all the stuff that was, he kept the campus beautiful. And he called me one day, he said, "Stafford, I want to see you." So I went over to his kind of office that he had by the fields there. And he said, he took out this coat. He said, "I have a coat for you." And he gave me a winter coat. In fact, I have the winter coat hanging in my closet downstairs. I still have it. It was a US Army coat with a wool lining. And the coat probably weighs about 3 or 4 pounds. And that coat kept me warm every winter that I lived in Boston and out in Kansas City area for all those years. And what it showed to me, that there were people who loved me, although I never knew them. And he showed that, he expressed that love in that manner. I met people like Chuck and Doris Gailey in Kansas City, and they too expressed love through their life and way of living. And because of that, I too must express love even through giving back to ENC. And there are stories in my life that are just miraculous. And because of that, I say thank you. Let's pray. But Father, thank you for the glory of your presence and for the might of your great grace outpoured upon each life that is here today. Your love and great grace outpoured upon Eastern Nazarene College and across the years for all those who have attended that institution. We thank you. Spirit of God, we give you praise today that we have the opportunity of simply sharing and giving back. Help us to step out into those areas where we think it's impossible. But with you, everything is possible. And we thank you that we can give. And yes, sometimes we can even give beyond what we think we can give. Thank you for your love. Lord, you cannot bless what we do not invest. And we want to invest in Eastern Nazarene College and its ministry so that you can bless not only us, but you can bless all of these young men and young women who come through this place of learning. And you bless the professors, the president, the teachers, all those who have a part in taking care of the campus. How grateful we are today because of each of these persons. Father, thank you. Hear this our prayer, and we would be grateful as we continue to move ahead and provide a way of ministry and blessing to those who would attend this college. Hear our prayer, we ask in the name of Christ. Amen and amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Reverend Frederick. Thank you to all of you for joining us. I really look forward to speaking with as many of you as I can, and appreciate your service and your commitment. God bless.
We're so glad you're there, David.
Yeah, amen.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.